Federal child labor laws prohibit anyone under the age of 18 from working at any meat processing plant. You may be asking yourselves, why is this important, Michelle, Squirrel Tribe leader? Well, let me explain to you why this is important. Because in Mississippi, there is a company called Myjeepaddiction Poultry, MAR-JAC, Myjeepaddiction Poultry. It was founded in 1954. They raise live birds for poultry production. This is according to OSHA. They are headquartered in Gainesville, Georgia, but they have facilities in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Now, here's the problem with this company. They just had a 16-year-old die by being pulled into a chicken deboning machine. Well, immediately the thought pops into my head of why was a 16-year-old working there when it is against federal law to have anyone under the age of 18 working in a meat processing plant. So a 16-year-old, this is according to Business Insider, a 16-year-old employee at a poultry processor was killed after being pulled into a chicken deboning machine. The proposed fine for the Mississippi plant, $212,000. Here's where the issue comes in. You're kidding me, right? $212,000 fine for one, breaking a federal law and allowing a child to work in the plant, and two, the loss of life of a child. And they're going to be fined $212,000. Look, I want you to see. This is the article, so you know what I'm reading here. Now, let me give you a little information here. It says a Mississippi poultry plant is facing more than $200,000 in fines after a teen worker was killed, which is illegal. The 16-year-old contract worker was pulled into a chicken deboning machine while cleaning it last year, 2023. About 2 years earlier, an adult employee was killed while working at the same facility. I want you to hear that. An adult employee was killed 2 years earlier. A 16-year-old contract worker was killed just last year. Here's the difference. The adult employee, they were an employee. They were W-2 because legally they could be. The 16-year-old, this company knew that they were breaking a federal law and therefore made them a contract employee, not a W-2, but a contract worker, not an employee, excuse me, a contract worker. So they were not on their payroll in the sense of having to fill out their age and everything else. So maybe they were trying to skirt that underneath the line. And here's what happens. This child ends up dead because of the fact they let them in a job that they should never have been at. Mississippi poultry processing plant is facing more than $200,000 in fines from the U.S. Department of Labor after a 16-year-old contract employee was killed after being pulled into a chicken deboning machine. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is OSHA, released a statement this week blaming Myjeepaddiction Poultry's ineffective safety policies for the teen's death, not to mention the fact they broke a federal law by allowing a 16-year-old in there to work to begin with. Following an investigation into the incident, OSHA cited the processing plant for 17 violations and proposed a $212,646 fine. Myjeepaddiction Poultry, which I could be butchering their name, not on purpose, the Georgia-based poultry processor has plants across the U.S. South. A representative for the company did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Business Insider. While the government did not name the victim, the Immigrant Alliance for Justice and Equity, a nonprofit supporting migrants, previously identified the teenager as Duvan Thomas Perez, according to the New York Times. Perez immigrated to the U.S. from Guatemala about 6 or 7 years ago, the organization said. He was employed at the Mississippi plant via a contract staffing agency, according to a Department of Labor report. On July 14th, 2023, Perez was sanitizing a chicken deboning machine when he became caught in a rotating shaft and pulled into the machine. This is according to the OSHA report. Minors are not supposed to clean meat processing machines like the one that killed the teenager because the Labor Department has deemed them too dangerous, according to the Times. The government's probe into the incident said the plant failed to employ a device that would keep the machine from turning on during cleaning. Again, also, you shouldn't have had a teenager there. The teenager was the second worker killed at the Hattiesburg facility in a little over 2 years. 2 deaths in the same plant in such a short period of time says volumes there too. The Department of Labor first cited the Mississippi plant for unsafe working conditions in 2021 after an adult employee died when his shirt became caught in a machine. In May of 2021, an employee was removing chicken parts from the carousel of a different machine when his left sleeve became caught, pulling him into the eviscerator and pinning his body under heavy machinery. This is according to OSHA. Following the fatal incident in May of 2021, Myjeepaddiction Poultry should have enforced strict safety standards in its facility, according to OSHA's regional administrator, Kurt Peter Meyer. Only about 2 years later, nothing has changed, and the company continues to treat employee safety as an afterthought, putting its workers at risk. No worker should be placed in a preventable, dangerous situation, let alone a child. Marjac Poultry has 15 days to comply with the proposed fines or contest the findings. Here's what I find interesting on this. They are giving Marjac or however you're supposed to say it, Poultry, 15 days to pay their fines. But they didn't say anywhere in there how long they're going to allow them to still not make these changes to help adhere to safety regulations. After the first worker was died in May of 2021, OSHA, after telling them that they need to have different safety standards, never went back to check up on it, never enforced it, and now you have another death. And OSHA, instead of saying, hey, you must do this in 15 days, we're going to come back in and check and make sure you're up to code or you've changed these things for safety precautions. No. What they said was, you need to give us our money. Give us our money, because everything comes down to mother flipping money. At the end of the day, it is always profits over people, literally. Profits over people. OSHA getting their fines, their money, as opposed to anything being done for the 2 people that were lost and to ensure that there aren't any future deaths or accidents at this place. When you have 2 in the same place, that is a big deal. Now, of course, the other part of me goes, well, this is a poultry processing plant. And we do have a lot of big names out there, Tyson, Purdue, and others, who really want to have the bulk of the industry orders and whatnots coming out of their facilities. Is it possible they sabotage these other facilities with things that they've done with, workers they place in there or whatever else? Sure. There's people out there that are going to say, oh, it's a sabotage. It wasn't whatever. The temp agency letting a 16-year-old immigrant in there to begin with is wrong, which technically without a work visa, it is wrong. They've broken numerous laws here, federal laws, and yet all that is being done is pay us some money and we'll swipe it under the carpet. I mean, this happened in July, and just in the last 48 hours is when all these stories are coming out. This didn't come out in July. I didn't see this article in July when I was searching everywhere to see exactly what was going on in our food industry with the processing plants, in our oil industry, in our water industry, like everything, because water is an industry at this point, it's a publicly traded commodity now. So I was looking everywhere. I never saw this. And now today, however many months later, 7-8 months later, it's suddenly coming out. Why now? Why now? I always wonder why now when we find out something that transpired that had to do with our food supply, because technically that's our food supply. Does that mean that this poor child from Guatemala, that he got sucked into the deboning thing, and then maybe there was some issues with the chicken? Remember all those chicken shortages? Was it actually shortages, or is it because people were being pulled into machines and being mixed in with chicken, and so they had to pause production, and they couldn't say, oh no, it's because an illegal 16-year-old immigrant who shouldn't have been working to begin with was pulled into this machine, and now the chicken is non-edible due to the mixing, whatever. Who knows? All I know is the fact that this whole thing happened, and all that it says here is that OSHA wants their $212,646 in fines, and they're not putting any sort of limitations on they didn't say anything about the age. They didn't say anything about the immigration part. They didn't say anything about, ensuring that safety standards are upped. That bothers me, because at the end of the day, it is always about the money. No matter what it comes down to, it is always about the money. Because money makes the world go round. Money stops the world at the same time. When the government wants to shut down, it's because they can't come to an agreement on how much they're going to get paid or what their money is going to get spent on. And by their money, I mean our money. They just hold on to it for us. not because I want them to, but that's, the law, whatever. But everything comes down to money. At the end of the day, profit over people. I think that's some just straight up BS.